This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good-looking friends. Today, I want to talk a little bit more about the scam called Archewell. Let's just call it what it is. It's a political action organization that is posing as a public charity in order to get tax benefits. The IRS really needs to revoke the status here. By now, I think all of us are aware of this, especially if you watch some of the videos that I've done covering the IRS tax forms and showing you where they have conveniently left information out as well as not have been honest. And in addition, showing you where in some cases they've actually lied. So there's no surprises there. But not only have they been deceptive in the IRS tax forms, but also deceptive in their marketing. So what I want to do in this video is take the time out to look at Archewell's most recent commercial and show you how manipulative and deceptive these advertising slicks are, because this is something that the IRS needs to see and also have as evidence to show that this organization is deceiving and misleading the public. And this is something that should be pointed out to the IRS when filing an inquiry into an investigation on this organization. Before I get into ripping this commercial to shreds, please do the kid a favor and hit that like button. You know that it's always appreciated.
We believe we have one core purpose: to do good.
So right away, the mark of the beast shows itself with Meghan's fentanyl-ridden city of LA opening up this video. One could argue and say that that's Archewell's headquarters, but not entirely true. Archewell's headquarters is in Beverly Hills, so we're starting this video off with an immediate deception. Followed by this next deception, which is pervasive throughout this video, of using Invictus now as the backdrop. Other common themes are using children as well as time spent when they were royals that are not associated with Archewell.
To meet each moment by showing up.
Here's an important fun fact. Archewell has never supported officially as a sponsor or a partner of Invictus Games. So why are they using all this footage?
Taking action and using our spotlight to uplift and unite communities.
And there is marketing at its best, taking their spotlight to unite and uplift communities, as if they think that they're so important that just their fame alone is uniting the world together. I don't know, folks. I think it's the opposite. I think the spotlight has brought lots of negative attention and has created so much division.
We are defined by our lifetime commitment to service. We believe that every action, big or small, drives change, and that collectively, we have the power to change our world.
So looking at this next segment, we start off with Meghan doing work in India with World Vision, which is another organization that Archewell doesn't support. Then they include Harry with African Park. So are they telling us that Archewell is now supporting the rape and beatings of the indigenous people? I think the IRS would be very interested in knowing that Archewell is supporting human rights abuses. Again, here is Meghan including World Vision, which is not being supported by Archewell. So why is it in this video? Finally, we get to some truth with Archewell supporting Welcome.us, which is a resettlement program in which facilitating and supporting Afghan migrants and refugees and any type of resettlement here in the United States, also being seen as the largest human trafficking operation in history under the Biden administration. And here we have, using Invictus again, here we have the one and done photo ops, never to have been revisited again. And here we see Meghan preying on young females. Before we get into the next segment, I just want to take a moment to highlight the language that's being used. So in this segment, they say, we are defined by our lifetime commitment to service. We believe that every action, big or small, drives change, and that collectively, we have the power to change our world. So the use of the word we is including all of us into this plan. None of those young adults that they're showcasing here should be brainwashed into committing to a lifetime of slavery, because essentially that is what is happening here. Who are these two to dictate this commitment when they themselves are not committed? Alarm bells should be ringing off the hook when you hear Meghan say community or collectively, because this is straight out of the Marxist handbook. Meghan and Harry do not actually believe that collectively they included are going to be a part of this socialist state.
The important work can't wait for tomorrow. And what can we do? What can I do to make it better?
How about you and Harry shut the fuck up and go away? That's what's going to make this better.
We have an obligation to give as much, if not more, than we take, and never shudder in the face of darkness. For hope is the fuel that courage.
Why should anyone listen to this? Have an obligation to give as much, if not more, than we take? I mean, these two are the biggest hypocrites. So how can they preach upon saying you have to give when they don't give anything? In fact, they don't even partner when they say that they're partnering. They put James Holt to do it. Again, more exploitation of Invictus. Nowhere on the IRS tax form shows that they are supporting Invictus, as well as on the website. So why are they showing these clips?
At the Archewell Foundation, we invest in areas that need it most.
We know that our young people face unique challenges to their mental health and well-being.
You hear that? We invest in areas that need it the most. Folks, that's language for they're going after your children and grooming them. They want to be the ones to tell you how you should parent. They also want to use mental health because of a thing called cognitive resilience, which is what the U.S. government has been investing in, particularly with the Department of Homeland and the censorship industrial complex. These two predators are grooming the youth towards a path of accepting oppression and slavery. And they do this by injecting division, fear, and exclusion for practicing individuality.
Women who are at home raising kids, they're working. It's just unpaid labor, and they need to be recognized for their unpaid labor.
You notice Meghan's using footage from the time that she was a royal, even though Archewell is no way connected to this? Deception.
We share a commitment to a life of service, a responsibility to confront injustice, and a belief that the most often overlooked are the most important to listen to.
What a load of shite, exploiting kids and then again continuing to exploit Invictus Games, and on top of it, share a commitment to a life of service when you turned your back on your own country. And here they make it a point to put United Kingdom up in bold lights. I think this is gaslighting at its finest. There's no secret their alignment with the WHO and the UN, total threat to humanity and destroying this world.
Our humanitarianism is one for the 21st century, an era where information moves at the speed of light and the question, how do I help, can seem impossible to answer.
And looking at this segment, you're just seeing a bunch of clips, but no real impact. Like all of this is just smoke and mirrors. And here you have them interweaving clips that did not pertain to Archewell or activities that were assigned to Archewell. And then they insert a totally random guy sitting in the dark.
But in all this uncertainty lies hope and the steadfast belief that connection conquers all.
The disgusting part about this commercial is the emphasis and focus on this park from Uvalde. Even though we know that Meghan went to exploit these dead children, they still have to shove it in people's faces as if she did something good. Here's what I'm predicting. This is going to be Meghan's new P&G soap commercial story in which this is going to be replayed over and over for the next 20 years as their accomplishments.
We believe philanthropy is not a handout, but a hand held. And we work to do just that, to offer a hand in partnership.
They believe that philanthropy is not a handout, but a handheld. Well, where are Meghan and Harry in helping with this playground? Nowhere. And then look at this next segment. You see Meghan and Harry, this is work that they were doing before Archewell was established. So why are they showing this? In my personal opinion, this is not a good look for Invictus Games to have Archewell tagging themselves onto the back of this brand. It's only going to bring it down.
At the Archewell Foundation, we roll up our sleeves and we get to work.
And there you have it, folks. Utter, complete shite, total misrepresentation and deception all throughout this entire video, which I think should be flagged and reported to the IRS. This organization is 1000% a complete scam. These predators should not have access and a platform to these kids. This is why society is failing. It's because of people like this who want control to be able to exploit and profit. Here is a fact that you cannot ignore. King Charles, Prince William, Prince Andrew, Princess Eugenie, Princess Beatrice, and Prince Harry are all globalists and subscribe to the World Economic Forum's thought process, ideology, and collaboration between private companies and governments. They subscribe to the SDG goals of the UN. They subscribe to the World Health Organization. You can't argue with me when you have King Charles going to COP28 saying that he's disappointed that we are not where we need to be in our goals and that it will take an additional $5 trillion a year in order to get there. Where is that money going to come from? That's going to come from us, the working class, in which they will squeeze more money out of us. You can't really call it conspiracy theory when you see the Western world all at the same time having the same issues. Now, do I believe that everyone at the WEF is malicious and evil? No. I do believe that a lot of them are caught up in this idea and have been indoctrinated to see the world differently than the regular folk like you and I. They are in a category that don't feel the effects of what we are feeling right now and how their decisions and their direction, because they have the money and the power to do so, is affecting the regular, ordinary middle class. This is something that they don't understand. And I put Prince William in this category, even though he is doing what he's doing with good intentions. And I truly believe that. I truly believe that he is a good person and that he is trying to make this world better for the future generations. I just think that he also has been indoctrinated to see this perspective. Like, he's not banging on about diversity, inclusion, equity, and all this garbage that Meghan and Harry are going on about. He truly is trying to save parts of this planet. And I believe that his actions are sincere and come from a good place. Now, I have speculated in the past that to some degree, Charles and William had an idea that Meghan and Harry were going to take off. But I believe that Harry sold a narrative to King Charles and William saying that he wanted to help change the digital landscape. And part of that might have been in the discussion when they were splitting from the Royal Foundation to start their own charity. I don't think the family could have predicted how off the rails Harry and Meghan were going to be, but I do believe that they told them some excuse in order to get out of there. Now, I believe that when they split the Royal Foundation and gave Harry the Invictus Games or the Endeavor Fund, they also put Harry in charge of the cyberbullying and online digital space. And why I say that is because it was originally Prince William who started this. Back in April of 2016, before Satan entered this family, it was Prince William who thought that it was important to set up a task force to work on addressing families that were affected by cyberbullying online. So Prince William led the charge in setting up this task force comprised of CEOs from all the major social media platforms. And the goal was to make it easier for children and their parents to get help if they experience bullying online across all digital platforms. He was able to get Google, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, BT, Sky, BBC, TalkTalk. I mean, you had some heavy hitters. So in less than 2 years, this task force was able to put together a framework that actually began the work on trying to tackle this, such as creating an app for kids to use. So when they do post something that might be malicious, it might flag and say, hey, do you want to stop for a second and think about whether this is appropriate or not? It was gaining traction and momentum, but then like 2019, this is where we started to see the Royal Foundation stop talking about it. And if you look on the website of the Royal Foundation, you don't see this project anywhere, especially in the past projects. All you see listed is what you see in front of you right now. There's no links to learn more about what they did. This is it. So I'm beginning to wonder, did Meghan and Harry take on the task of this? Because Prince William's work is so similar to what Hank and Skank had put together for this mental health summit.
Through my work on mental health, I've spent time getting to know parents and children for whom the impact of online bullying has been devastating. And as a parent myself, I understand the sense of loss and anger of those particular families who have lost children after they were the targets of campaigns of harassment. I feel a responsibility to do what I can to help. The UK can become a world leader on tackling cyberbullying. Nowhere else has the sector come together and voluntarily agreed to take collective responsibility for tackling an issue like this, rather than just promoting your own individual initiatives.
I can't start without thanking all the parents, the mothers and fathers that have been here today, for being with us physically here today, but also being on this journey for the last year, creating this community of shared experience. We know it's not hard. We know it's not easy for you guys to be here, so thank you very much. In answer to your question, Carlton, if I can answer it, I think once we started to realise how many people, how many families, how many parents there were in the US, but also around the world, that have suffered the greatest loss, we quickly realised that there was no one really in this space bringing them together.
And this was such a shady thing to do to his brother, because it was his brother who was initially the one who was groundbreaking in this area.
As soon as I lost Felix, I knew that I had to talk. Social media was his life. His whole life revolved around it. It was the way that everyone communicated. And if you weren't on it, you were isolated. So if he was invited to a party, somebody would text saying, "You don't want to invite him, everyone hates him." And all he saw was negative. He saw himself as stupid and ugly. It just ate away at him inside, I think. But I just had no idea of the depth of his despair at all.
It's one thing when it happens in the playground and it's visible there and parents and teachers and other children can see it. Online, you're the only one of you sees it, and it's so personal, isn't it? It goes straight to your room.
Online now with social media, and you can't escape it. You're constantly with that bully. There's no escape from it.
And it's written down, so it's there to look back at time and time again. And if you are in a negative space, that's all you can see. You look for the negativity. You look for the cruel things. Yeah.
It's so brave of you both to speak so honestly about it. I know it can't have been easy, honestly, but I can't thank you enough. And I only wish, obviously, that neither of you have gone through what you've gone through.
I just want to say, thank you. You're so, that's so brave, because I was in that place, and if I would have done that to my mum,
I sort of feel that Felix has given me a job to do, and my job is to make sure that we try and help as many other people like him.
I think it's worth reminding everyone, that what the human tragedy of what we're talking about here isn't just about companies and about online stuff. It's actually real. It's real lives that get affected.
Absolutely.
And the consequences. That's the big thing. The consequences that will happen if things are not kept in check in terms of what we say and what we do. And we are still responsible for our own actions online. It's not, this anonymity, as you're saying, is really, really dangerous. Can I give you both a hug?
Yes.
Very brave.
Thank
Honestly,
you.
well done you two. Honestly, thank you so much for your time.
What it does to you when you're on social media for all this time, and that in small doses, to connect with other people and to be able to share how you're feeling and to help and support each other, I think is really important. But it's down to awareness. Otherwise, before you know it, you're a very healthy, super happy, confident, successful child who has nothing wrong with them is taking their own life. And yes, a huge part of this is to be working with Matthew and his team towards sort of the ultimate solution. But at the same time, bringing these parents together through Zoom was something which we knew it was needed, but then to see the impact and the effect that it was having on every single one of them, and to know that they didn't have prior opportunity or space to be able to learn that they are not the only person, that they're not alone in this.
Now, I believe that Meghan sold a bill of goods to the royal family as to why they should take on this challenge, because she's from California and that's where Silicon Valley is, and she's American, and it would be best if they tackled this issue, not realizing that she was going to go off and then align with the Biden campaign in order to then start her destruction with Harry here in the United States of undermining our democracy, essentially sabotaging our election. So here we are with these two here who are deeply embedded with the most corrupt government at this moment in order to censor speech as well as restrict our freedoms. This is the shit that we're in. As a result of people like this, I do believe that Meghan had a plan in getting over here, and she used Prince William's platform to go ahead and run her own show, which is exactly what we've seen happening. I don't think that the royal family saw this coming at all. I think she sold them a bill of goods that was fraudulent. And, what she did to them, I mean, the rest is history. We've all seen. And Harry got sucked up into it. Let's make no mistake. Once Meghan pulled him away over to California, she surrounded him with all these vultures who were in his ear, and him being a part of certain things that I think that he didn't realize was going to get him into a whole bunch of shit if it gets out, like the censorship industrial complex. I do believe William had some idea that they were coming over here to try and change the media landscape. I do believe that because there are some organizations that were on Prince William's task force that Meghan and Harry were working with, such as Five Rights Foundation. It's worth noting that Prince William chose Brent Hoberman as the chairman of his task force, who just so happens to be on the advisory board for the World Economic Forum's digital group in Europe. Anyway, I have no doubt that Meghan and Harry got their contacts and set up their appointments in the beginning of January 2020 over at Stanford as a result of having access to these people. I firmly believe that the palace helped Meghan and Harry get set up here in the United States by securing those appointments out in Silicon Valley to help them get on their way with the plan that they were supposed to be on, but then surprised everybody by going sideways and Meghan going off into her political sphere. That's just my opinion. I also think now Meghan has the family in a bind over what to do about these two children that are in the line of succession. The recent slip in the Times by Kate Mansi this weekend doesn't help the situation, but that's a different story for a different day. Now, the only thing that I can say about that is that Meghan and Harry have been fraudulent from day one with everything. So would it be a surprise if we find out that they didn't tell the truth about the birth of these children? No, I think we all know what's coming. It's just, let's get on and get it over with. Rip the Band-Aid off, Charles, and let's move forward. Anyhow, looking forward to your comments. As always, I will be back with more content, but until then, please be safe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!
It was such a fraud.